The 2024 MLB postseason has been off to an absolutely electric start. However, one series has been better than the rest: the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the San Diego Padres NLDS. This series has had everything from a manager accusing a player of trying to throw a baseball back at him, to fans throwing things at players, to some of the most back and forth games we've seen all season. This series has had absolutely everything going on. So let's talk about the greatest series in postseason history. The Los Angeles Dodgers dominated the regular season, being the best team in MLB with a record of 98-64, even while dealing with an unfair amount of injuries. Mookie Betts missed a few months with a broken wrist, and Max Muncy missed half of the season with injuries himself. But the real issues came from their pitching staff. Joe Kelly and Brusdar, I still can't say that name, I'm not even going to try again, Brusdar Graterol, I tried again anyway, missed most of the season with injuries to their arms, and starting pitching was even worse. Emmett Sheehan, Tony Gonsolin, and Dustin May missed their entire 2024 season, while Clayton Kershaw was limited to just 7 starts before his season ended early. He'll also be missing the postseason. Gavin Stone looked very good in his rookie season, and he too went down and will be missing the playoffs. Luckily, Tyler Glasnow looked very good and pitched his career-high innings this season. However, less luckily, it was only 134 innings, and Glasnow is now out for the entire season and missed the whole postseason. Not to mention, Shohei Ohtani was also recovering from Tommy John surgery and also missed the entire season as a pitcher as well. Although he had one of the greatest offensive seasons of all time, even with the injury, but he still didn't pitch. The Dodgers were going to be down 5 pitchers that probably could have made up a top 5 starting rotation in baseball if they were all healthy. And even with that, they received the first round bye and were ready to face the winners of the Braves and Padres series. As we know, the San Diego Padres ended up winning the wild card series versus Atlanta, but their rise to the postseason was not as easy as the Dodgers. The Dodgers started their season with a 93.5% chance of making the postseason on opening day, after signing Shohei Ohtani to the biggest contract in MLB history and Yoshinobu Yamamoto to the largest pitcher contract in MLB history. The Padres started the season at just a 41% chance of making the playoffs, 4th place in the NL West behind the Diamondbacks and Giants as well as the Dodgers. Side note, the Rockies had just a 0.1% chance at the beginning of the season, which feels hilarious. I can't believe that before the season even started, there was essentially a 0% chance that the Rockies would be playing in October. Anyway, April was bad for the Padres, which of course was to be expected after trading away superstar Juan Soto in December for Michael King and Kyle Higashioka. They also got the Yankees' top pitching prospect, Drew Thorpe, who was shipped to the Chicago White Sox 3 months later for their ace Dylan Cease. From that point, the Padres essentially flipped Juan Soto for Michael King and Dylan Cease, 2 pitchers that would set the tone for the Padres throughout the season. On April 29th, the Padres' playoff odds fell to an extremely concerning 26.1%. But they weren't done there. Padres rattled off 4 wins in a row, and ownership locked in and landed the contact king Luis Arraez in a trade with the Miami Marlins, and the new look Padres were officially built. However, not much had changed in the record column, as they were just 50-49 at the All-Star break, and only had jumped up to a 39% chance of making the postseason. But after a 19-3 run following the break, the Padres were safely in the wildcard 1 spot and jumped all the way up to a 95% chance of making the playoffs. They competed with the Dodgers for the division and even brought it within 2 games with under a week remaining. But after the Dodgers won 2 against San Diego, the Dodgers celebrated their division victory. Now here we are, the new look Padres versus the billion-dollar offseason Los Angeles Dodgers. Game 1 of the NLDS was here, and it was the highest paid pitcher in MLB history, Yamamoto, versus the Padres' first-year ace, Dylan Cease. 2 players making their postseason debuts for their new clubs. The pitching matchup should have been the show of the game. However, almost immediately this was proven completely wrong, as Yamamoto got absolutely rocked in the first inning, allowing 3 runs on an RBI groundout to Jerickson Profar and a 2-run homer to the former Dodger Manny Machado, who will be involved much more throughout the rest of this postseason series. In the bottom of the first inning, Dylan Cease got a huge strikeout on Max Muncy to strand a few runners in scoring position and held the Dodgers Dodgers scoreless. The second inning didn't go as good for the Padres as Shohei Ohtani had his second postseason at bat, and with 2 runners on base, Ohtani hit an absolute tank to tie the game at 3 apiece. Shohei screamed and flipped the bat. It was pretty cool, I must admit. $2 million contract, by the way. Deferred money really makes a lot of sense, MLB, just pointing that out once again. The next frame, Xander Bogaerts hit a 2-run double with 2 outs to put the Padres back on top. Bogaerts was another player that was a massive part of the Padres' second half surge. He was bad in the first half, but then had an elite second half coming back from a dislocated shoulder. The second year in a row he had done this second half resurgence. With Mookie Betts batting, a wild pitch was thrown by Padres reliever Adrian Morejon, I don't know, and Tommy Edman scored to make it 5-4. Edman was another player added mid-season for these two teams, acquired by the Dodgers right before the trade deadline. And after Donovan Solano made an insane play to save a run from scoring off the bat of Freddie Freeman, it looked like the Dodgers were going to blow a perfect chance to at least tie the game up. Enter Teoscar Hernandez, a 2-run, 2-out single for Teoscar. Jackson Merrill, the rookie, was incredibly close to making this play and keeping the game tipped in the Padres' favor. However, baseball is a game of inches, and the Dodgers now had the lead. The next inning, the Dodgers put another run on the board with a double play, and after Miguel Rojas made a nice catch over his shoulder with a runner in scoring position, the game was basically over. Blake Treinen struck out Solano in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. Treinen continued in the 9th inning and finished the game on a strikeout to Manny Machado. And with that, the Dodgers were up 1-0, and they were just 2 games away from a trip to the NLCS. The Padres weren't backing down yet though, and that was apparent in a quote from Fernando Tatis Jr. "They were better today. We couldn't close the door. Show up tomorrow and win. Simple as that." With that, it was time for Game 2, another one in Los Angeles before the series would flip to San Diego. And this game was one of the most insane games I have ever experienced. 2 batters into the game, the Padres were up 1-0 on a Fernando Tatis Jr. home run, the first of many homers that would be coming up in this game. And then it was 1-1. Until it wasn't, because Jerickson Profar robs a home run with one of the most insane robberies you'll ever see. He kind of showed up the fans, and then a few innings later brought a baseball to the fan he robbed one from. That fan launched the ball onto the field, which was fine and I thought was pretty funny. But then another fan threw a ball at Profar, and that was an extremely big issue because obviously you can't throw balls at players. On the other side of the field, Tatis was dancing and egging on the Dodger fans, and then the Dodger fans started throwing trash at him as well. Unfortunately, there had to be a delay on the field, but that did not bother Yu Darvish, who was absolutely dominating on the hill. But before that, a Dodger fan dropped a very easy home run ball, which made the game 3-0 at the time. Heading into the 8th inning, after the Dodgers scored 1 to make the score 3-1 and hyped them up going into the inning after the throwing stuff on the field incident happened. And it worked. Manny got it started with a single, and Jackson Merrill went deep with a 2-run shot. The next batter, Xander Bogaerts, seemed like he injured his hamstring. However, the next pitch he saw, he homered, and he made it back-to-back with Merrill. In the 9th inning, Higgy homered once again, his 3rd of the playoffs already, and later in the inning, Tatis homered again, this time a 2-run shot to make it a 10-1 ball game. In the dugout, he made a couple of facial expressions, and it was funny. Muncy also homered, but who cares, the score was only 10-2. Completely over by this point, let's go to San Diego. But before that, I do have to talk about Manny Machado throwing an absolute piss missile at the Dodgers dugout. I am being sarcastic here, but Dave Roberts, the Dodgers manager, said that he felt threatened by Manny Machado throwing a hard baseball at the Dodgers dugout, which you can tell he did not. If you think this is a hard thrown baseball, you are ridiculous and you probably never played past D-ball. I'm sorry, that's just the reality of this situation. He tossed the ball to a bat boy and Dave Roberts overreacted. It's pretty funny that this became drama because, like, why? The Dodgers just needed anything to fuel them, I guess, at this point. But let's see if it'll work, because it is now 1-1 heading back to San Diego. They're going to need to win at least one of those games over there to keep their season alive. Let's see if they can do it. Now in San Diego, the Dodgers and Padres are tied 1-1 in Game 3. The first 3 innings were everything in this game. Mookie Betts hit a home run that was almost the exact same thing as the game before. It was so similar it was scary, except for the fact that Profar didn't actually catch this one. In a 1-0 game, Walker Buehler was absolutely exiled by his own team in the second inning. After Manny Machado singled, he ran what players call the banana route to make Freeman launch the ball into center field. Bogaerts then hit a routine double play, and Miguel Rojas completely messed it up, and the Dodgers got 0 outs out of it. Tie game. Then David Peralta made it a 3-1 Padres lead on a double, and after a Jake Cronenworth single, Higgy hit a sac fly to make it 4-1. But Nando wasn't satisfied with 4. He wanted 6. He hit another home run and the game looked over. But the next inning, Teoscar Hernandez brought it back to a 1-run game with a grand slam. From there, however, literally nothing happened. Both bullpens were disgusting and the game finished with a final score of 6-5. One went away from the NLCS for the Padres, and it was the best case scenario for them. The Dodgers were stuck having a bullpen game with Ryan Brazier being the opener, and the Padres had their ace Dylan Cease on the hill. However, he was on 3 days rest for the first time in his career, and you could tell he was on short rest because he was not feeling himself this game. Mookie Betts hit another first inning home run, and Shohei Ohtani and Betts brought in 2 more runs and knocked Dylan Cease out in just the second inning. Will Smith homered to make it 5-0, and Lux also hit a home run to make it 8-0. The Padres were held scoreless after 8 Dodgers pitchers dominated all night long. This was now 15 innings in a row without a run for the Padres. Let's see how Game 5 would go. Loser go home, winner move on to face the Mets in the NLCS. For the first time in MLB history, we'd have 2 Japanese-born starting pitchers taking the ball for playoff teams. Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Yu Darvish. Both starters were absolutely disgusting. Not many strikeouts, but it was weak pop-up after weak ground-out after strikeout, and everything was bad all game offensively, except in the second when playoff god himself, Kike Hernandez, hit an absolute nuke to make the score 1-0. Yamamoto threw 5 shutout, and Roberts took him out to start the 6th. Will this backfire? These kind of moves never seem to work out in the playoffs. However, this time it did. The Dodgers bullpen was unreal. Evan Phillips to Alex Vesia to Michael Kopech to Blake Trinan, another shutout for the Dodgers. 24 innings in a row of shutout baseball. However, Yu Darvish got the loss for allowing just 1 run in 6.2 innings of work, and Teoscar Hernandez also hit a solo homer, which ended scoring for both teams. The Dodgers are moving on to face the Mets. What a series. Let's see if the Grimace Mets can send the big bad Dodgers packing, or if they will be back in the World Series for the 19th time in the past 8 seasons. If you want more playoff content, here's 2 videos on screen right now. YouTube thinks that you'll enjoy these. Check them out and have a good rest of your day.